going to be here. So
Agreed.
we'll get going. Call the meeting to order at 7:02. We start out with our standard agenda. First item is acceptance of the secretary's report. Is there a motion to accept?
I'll make a motion, I didn't see anything, so.
Is there a second? There was no idea for that meeting.
Second. I did just notice I misspelled Scott's last name in the attendee list.
How dare you, that's,
It's ironic that you didn't even.
yes,
So
seriously,
I just missed
it
the I
just
at
says
the end.
state, yeah.
Yeah.
Mhm.
Alright, other than the spelling correction, is there any other comment, question, concern about the secretary's report? Hearing none, we'll go to a roll call vote. Susan?
Yes.
Laura?
Yes.
Chris? Yes. Scott?
Yes.
Adam?
Yes.
Dan?
Yes.
Jackie?
Yes.
And I'm a yes, the secretary's report is accepted unanimously. Next item, acceptance of the monthly staff reports. Is there a motion to accept? Is there a second?
Second.
Very good discussion.
What is the, I have a couple of questions. What does the total woman show? In your report?
Cheryl Webb Scott has it on cable television. It's a cable television show. I did it once before, but the one I did has not aired yet because it has to be edited. So she's done it for quite a while. Sometimes it's in Wakefield, sometimes it's in Stoneham. But lately it's in Wakefield. And it's an all-female, like the people who run everything, the cameras and everything, it's all women.
And then my other question was about, there was a note about issuing the highest number of non-resident library cards this past month. And I thought you had the answer, is there a difference between a resident and a non-resident card, or why people would get a card here versus their local town?
Why is that?
So it's high now because of the pods. If you would like to use a pod, you have to have a card. So we do people who are stopping in town, who are in passing through, and we make them get a card. So that's, I think that's why. Sometimes they're out of state too, people who work locally but live in New Hampshire. I think the pods are responsible for the jump though.
There are people who have a card with us, and I don't know if this happens anymore, but there are people who have cards at multiple libraries.
You cannot have multiple
Not
mobile
not
cards.
anymore,
Yeah.
can you? Okay. See, I learned something too.
This is, like, I have a card at Minuteman. Just
At Minuteman,
just so I can get extra liberty.
right.
I'm not gonna worry.
But that's different, it's Minuteman, it's
Right.
different, yeah.
So the enthusiasm for the reciprocity program is pretty exciting. We talked to the folks about how they heard about it. Is there a way to recapture how we got the word out about that, apply it to other programs?
I think it's just the program hit a nerve and people.
Yeah, it's
wanted
almost
to-
always the newsletter. You can track it to when the newsletter goes out. That one in particular, I don't know, I do know Karen would have reached out for that program to the HRC and possibly the anti-racism committee. But it's hard to know what worked,
Yeah.
but it is usually tied to the newsletter, you can almost always see it.
The subject matter, all of our programs are quality programs, but it seems like premium draw on top of everything else. But if again, if there's a way we can learn from how we got and retained those people who signed it. That was the most surprising part, is people didn't just sign up and blow it off, they actually showed up. Yeah, anything we can do, that would be great.
There are so many factors, that's always so hard. Because you think you're gonna replicate it, you know, you could do something following it and think you're gonna replicate it, and it doesn't turn out that way at all. So it's, sometimes I think it's the timing, and it's also something that people really wanted to see. It was a little unique, that was pretty unique.
We take the treasure to an archive.
How did we turn it in?
No, how does the treasure room become an archive?
Well, it was sort of like a closet where you open the door and the stuff all fell out. And somebody painstakingly went through and looked at everything and put it in order and decided what went with what and how do you make it findable.
I was gonna say, what's the order?
And well, there was some order there.
It used to be cataloged by Dewey, which makes no sense.
Yeah.
Because everything's the same, so if it's Wakefield, it's like 974.65 or whatever it is, and they were all 974.65 Wakefield, which does not help you actually find anything.
Right.
So she used an archival system versus Dewey, so it's boxed in most cases, so you would be looking for like shelf 4, box A, card 6, something like that, so it's a much different, if you look at it, we do pictures of it, or we can take you in at any time, we have before and afters. You can see how
What's the space?
what's, I mean,
A walk-in closet.
tiny, tiny,
Yeah.
claustrophobic.
That's part of the problem, is it's so tiny, but you can store more in it if it's organized. And plus that the stuff is protected because it's stored in archival boxes and it's handled properly, so.
It's all documents.
It's not all documents, but it's
There's
a lot.
photos, there's some ephemera, like scrapbook type things. There's not a lot of stuff.
What stuff we have is probably all in the case right now. The few items that we have are
Yeah.
probably all in the case at Avon Street.
That's a continuation of where leverages that year-long grant that we got.
That was the grant. That was the
That
grant.
was the grant.
That's what made the whole process successful.
Yeah, right.
Because we have Amanda who has the skill, she was trained in that.
Mhm.
But to force her to put the time into it, we had the grant commitment, so it became a priority. That has been, working on that closet has been on the list since I started working here. That's been a to-do, and there was never anybody who really knew how to do it.
Sure, and as you point out, it's, archiving is somehow lumped in with, library sciences, but it's not really a core mission, right? So it never, without a forcing function like this, it never goes to the top of the priorities.
Right.
So it's great stuff.
And in school, it's a different track.
Sure,
Yeah.
absolutely.
Yeah, I don't know how to do that at all.
I had one ask that someone from the public got to me indirectly about, so we're redoing the website, is that right? No? We're not?
Not anytime soon.
It's in the strategic plan.
Oh, you so
For-
nice.
for
I didn't mean like.
It's a-
Eventually,
FY27, I'm
Okay.
thinking.
So there was the most of the site is easily translated by Google Translate, the calendar is not. Which is in general, I mean, not a huge deal, but when we have events that are targeted at Spanish speaking folks, you know, like the conversational English class, is that what we're calling it? Yeah, or a session, I don't know if it's a class, but not being able to translate that out of the calendar easily is tough to connect that activity with the folks who might be interested in it, so just something to keep in mind.
Yeah, that pretty much gets out beyond the calendar. We're sort of targeting, at this point,
People who knew there were people and that's been kind of word of mouth.
Sure.
Yeah, that's probably something to think about. The calendars is separate. It's not even us, it's a separate
Right, it's
plug-in thing.
plugged in through code, it's not part of it, it's embedded in the page.
Right, which is the report, yeah, right.
Yeah.
All right, any other discussion on the staff reports? Hearing none, we will vote on the motion to accept. Susan?
Yes.
Laura?
Yes.
Chris? Yes. Scott?
Yes.
Adam? Dan?
Yes.
Jackie?
Yes.
Yes, that passes unanimously. Correspondence.
Do you public participation?
Oh, did I miss public participation? I crossed it off. I was wondering where that was gonna come up on the agenda. Public participation. We have Karen Sadler. Is that, did I pronounce that correctly?
Yep. Hi. Thanks for having me.
Oh, you're more than welcome. So if you'd like to say something or you have something on your mind or questions for us, this would be the time to do it.
Oh, right. Well, so I decided to run for library trustee for one of the positions. So I thought I would take advantage of the open meeting and drop in and see firsthand.
Wonderful. Well, welcome.
All right. Thank you very much.
Thanks. All right, thanks for dropping in.
Karen.
And thanks for helping me catch a missed item on the agenda. Okay, now correspondence. We had an item from the town about town meeting. I didn't see anything else.
Town meeting, is May 5th. And I got something from the Department of Energy Resources
Yeah.
that is going to require me to submit information about our utility use. I checked with DPW and they said, yes, it would be me that would do it, it's not them because we get our own utility bills. And I signed up for it today. So far, so good. We'll see what happens. But if you're over 20, what is it?
20,000.
20,000, yeah, so it's just another.
I'm not sure to what end that whole thing is,
I
but
don't even know, I don't know if you looked at it, but basically, they don't even know what they're gonna do with it so far. They're just saying, because the letter is really just saying, hey, we might ask you to do something in the future. So here's the, like, we got it too, but not part of it.
Yeah,
when I clicked through the QR code, I'm not sure what the end game is for that.
yeah, I didn't go to the QR code, but I did fill in that portal and just gave them the information that they required, and that means I'm on an email list, and when they have more information, they'll send it. But we maintain that information anyway, so, but I am sure they'll ask it to be entered in a way that I don't have it, that I have to do it. That's how it
That's a
always
guarantee.
works. Yeah, it won't be the way I'm recording it, but.
So, that's great. So do we know if any other buildings in town have, or anyone's received this?
Joe didn't know, but Joe Conway, who is the DPW director, didn't know about it when I sent it to him. He said, let me check and I'll get back to you, because I didn't know if it was me or if it was him.
Mhm.
And then he looked into it and he said, oh yeah, a few of us got it, and
Okay.
it's whoever's managing that building and those bills responds.
Okay, so I'll ask the basic question. We know this is like legitimate.
That it comes from the state?
Yes.
Yeah,
Okay,
it looked legitimate to me. Yeah, and part of it, that's part of the reason why I sent it to Joe too.
Yeah, I've just been hearing the skeptical.
I
So,
know.
Okay. So no action for now, right?
Right, there's no action.
Okay. Thanks for including that. Anything else on the correspondence?
Don't think so.
Great.
No.
Alright, we'll move on to committee reports. Budget. Under no news is good news. Our budget for 26 continues to move forward. Is that correct?
Yeah, no questions on it, no everybody's fine with it, so it seems very routine this year. Last night, Dan and I did capital planning, and that went remarkably well, so that we'll probably talk more about it as time goes on and we see what people are getting, what capital's gonna be done in town. But I did say that I was, my first priority was the chiller.
Yep.
And that is something we cannot cover ourselves. The expense of that is beyond what we could cover. But other needs that I have, I could potentially cover. So I really need the chiller because that broke down last year and it's probably the most important thing we need. So far, you know, they haven't heard from the schools yet.
Right.
That have that fly system on there.
You know.
Yeah, that just quite,
Fire department.
there's a, yeah, and the fire department needs a hopper. So that would probably be a separate warrant article, but.
That would have to be units. Well, that's $500,000 at least.
Oh, the pumper truck?
Yeah.
It's more than $1 million.
Is it more than enough?
Yeah. Yeah, and it takes 3 years, so you have to get the order in. It's quite, the capital is something.
Yep.
So I'll have more information next time. They'll meet throughout March, and by the end of March, we'll have a good idea of where things stand. And I'll have a good idea of where our budget is and what we might wanna do next, and how we might wanna do it.
I have a question for both the last night's presentation and your list in the budgets. The boiler that you say is a reserve boiler. But if we talk about the current boiler, what's the condition of it if you moved it, do you think?
They're from 1998.
Yeah.
They're,
Are there 5 or 6 of them?
There's
Is
I thought it was 7 or 9 total, so it must be 7.
There's 7
One's out, so we have
and
6.
one is out. And the way it was explained to me is that any given day, 1 or 2 of them are working at a time.
Yeah.
And they rotate, which is why they've lasted so long.
Okay.
And so that one that's down is really an extra.
So it's not one of the, what is it?
It's one of the, it's the 7th one, but we have 6 that are working.
Okay, good.
The problem though is, you know, we don't have as many cold days as we used to, not gonna look, but the longer you have one redundant down, it just puts 1/6 more pressure on all the other ones, so.
Exactly. Yeah.
So it'll accelerate, I guess, is all I'm saying, but I agree that the chiller is much more pressing.
And because we could go another year and, with the, yeah.
Absolutely.
I really do get it.
So I think that's all about budget.
25, we're well on our way to expend.
Yeah, well, I'll expend that down to not personal services, but everything else.
Right.
Will get expended.
Building and grounds, we've just covered probably the most pressing issues there. It's the large flat surface in front of the library,
The plaza?
plaza. Not coming up with the word plaza. The money for the steps, is that, we're still tracking that, right?
Yes, Joe's gonna talk to me within the next couple of weeks about the grant.
Yeah.
So that's fine, it'll be done this spring,
Very good.
he's looking to have it done this spring.
Anything else from anyone, building and grounds?
I have a comment, question, not to bring up the sign in the front, I'm gonna bring up the sign in the front.
No, don't do it.
I know. Cause I know we've talked about a lot. Could the sign in the front just, there's nothing that says the library name in the front of the building, is it writing along the top?
The library name is on the top of the
Is
building.
it on the top of the
So
building?
it's above the front doors, yes.
Above the front door.
Yeah, it's hot, it's beyond the front, so there's doors and then there's windows, it's at the top. So it's under where those little urn things are, it's under there. And there's a date
On
there
it,
too.
I'm just put the name of the
Yeah.
building on that,
Sure.
and that building on the front,
You're
on
thinking
that-
like a marketer, yes.
yeah, cause it's like you could walk by there and miss the name of the building, I guess.
Yeah, I suppose we could just put the name of the building there, I don't know, or we could just eliminate it and put a tree there. Which is starting to look good as the projects pile up.
Yeah, I wasn't looking to have more expense, but as I was walking by one day, I was like, I didn't know this was the library.
Yeah,
What I know
it's-
is the library, it
It's
wasn't.
no, it's not very clear, and you
Yeah.
have to really look at the building.
Yeah, and is there other writing above us in Latin, like is that separate, or am I thinking of a
No,
different building?
it's next to it, the date, it says the library name, and then the date is in Roman numerals next to it. But it's shaded, you don't really see it without looking.
So I'm just thinking if someone's new to town, or new to the area, or maybe not new to it.
I know.
You know, like just
Is
having
it
this better.
carved in the marquee, the name of the building, carved in the top of the marquee?
On the marquee, yes, it is.
It is on the marquee.
Yeah.
on the top.
But you don't really notice it there,
No,
either,
it's
do you?
small, yeah.
Oh. So if we just put the name of the library in the
It
middle of it,
would have to be a stone to match the rest of it, but
yeah.
you know, we talked about so many other different things, but maybe it's just as simple as like telling people what it's building.
We'll think about that.
And I'll look at the front of the building more carefully when I leave to see if I can
And
actually see
well,
anything.
thankfully, like, you know, I hear, it's like, at least it's like, it's in town. It's like in town corner plaza, it's that post office and that town hall are like all kind of right there, so it's like, well, if I missed it at the post office, I'd be like, well, I'll just go to the library right after, but yeah, for,
But just how
if
to
it's
like,
not, yeah.
making people feel like it's a deep,
You might go to the post office thinking it's the library.
But then you,
Oh,
the-
I know what
then
it
you go
says,
right after, you know.
brick buildings.
yeah.
Right. Is it?
Do they?
That was the rumor, or something, the post office is moving, right? That's the post office. It's for.
Right.
The post office is working its way out of that space.
It's kind of, it was sort of for sale for a little bit.
Interesting.
It's where, it's just no matter when.
Interesting. Big space.
I'm sure they got the land. I'm sure they got the land. The 20,000 square foot
Yeah.
doesn't matter.
Maybe, yeah.
The post office.
Yeah.
It's,
Yeah, well. That's my, because typically the state can't regulate town buildings. So, which is interesting.
I don't think they're regulating it. I think they
Yeah.
just,
Well, the
I think
purpose
they
of it
just
is,
want the data, right?
they're gonna be pushing for like zero net neutral
Yes.
buildings, zeros, so they're pushing for renewable. So they're just trying to data collect right now, okay, who's, and now theoretically, it might come with grants and things like that in the future, but given where the state budget's gonna be in a couple years now.
Yeah, it seems like it's not working toward that right now, but it's a good thought. I've thought of it in terms of, you know, what are we putting upstairs and is that the best thing? Will we always have gas? I don't know. I know Stoneham is putting in, did you see that the email came? Stoneham is putting in a heat pump.
no, okay.
That's why they're very distinct, it's a specific space, I don't
Yeah.
think you can do a heat pump for.
No, we couldn't do it here. But, you know, people are looking at all their options,
And they're renovating, right, so it's a little bit renovation.
a little bit.
Yeah.
Yeah, cause I think the children's room is closed,
Yeah.
they're working
Yeah,
on,
yeah.
they're working on that. And I know Melrose was gonna do a heat pump too, I don't know if it didn't work out or, but I think their new renovation was gonna be a heat pump. And
Right, because they were just doing work last.
yeah, and
Yeah,
Beverly
last year.
was gonna do a heat pump and then they couldn't.
They were gonna do geothermal.
Oh, that's right, it was geothermal, you're right. And that fell through. It's not as clear cut as it used to be.
Sure.
Anything else, building and grounds? We'll move on to the Friends. Did anybody attend the Friends?
I was there at the last meeting.
Thank you.
It's, the main discussion was about promoting more publicity, that's what. And so a lot of discussion about social media and effectiveness of that. There's some, we've talked about the concern they've got for the location of book sale and the storage. Doesn't seem to be any solutions at the moment.
Thank you very much.
Then are they talking about next year's potential book sale? Because this one's all set, right?
Yeah, they're going.
The future of.
The future of.
Yeah, when do they lose the herd officially, like when is that on?
At the end of May?
End of May, okay, like I knew it was
Right after the
soon.
vote there.
That didn't
Okay.
come up actually,
Okay.
when it's.
They'll have one more shot.
And their
Okay.
sale is in
Okay.
May, so after
Okay.
that sale, they're not supposed to go back in.
Okay.
Everything must go.
Okay.
Everything must go.
Well, they had
I think-
a great book sale last year. It was,
Yeah.
you know, wildly successful, but yeah, okay. I wasn't sure the timeline. I knew it was soon, but I wasn't sure how soon.
They're talking to some churches, but it's a tough problem. It's an insurance problem, story, the security of it, the quality of the the environment, preserve books, tough problem.
I don't see any title issues.
Yeah.
Okay. That covers Friends. Gift funds, do we have anything for that this month?
I think so.
All right, we'll move on to legislative advocacy. There was a few things in the packet this month.
So as far as I know, these are the three things that are up for consideration. One is an act against book bans. And one is to regulate e-book sales to libraries. And the final one is to have standards for school libraries. It's funny the act against book banning is pretty much just codifying business as usual. It's already what everybody pretty much does, so it seems to just be reinforcing that that's what we wanna do. And then the ebook sales, that's been a problem for a long time. And I think one of the points that they make that's really important is that taxpayers are bearing the brunt of that. So if you buy an ebook, there's a certain price for you. If we buy it, it's way more expensive. And the restrictions are ridiculous. And they don't have a good reason. The publishers really don't have a good reason. They say, I think it's gouging, I really do. They say that it's, protecting their intellectual property but it's not necessarily. And the public doesn't understand it because it seems like the book is in the ether, why can't multiple people have it at the same time? Why can't, why is it not unlimited? They mention here that there were low use titles, more than 4,000 titles expired in the state collection with 4 or fewer borrows. 700 of them had never been checked out before they expired. So, if you've got a hard copy and it doesn't get checked out, and that happens to me because I buy science and I take a risk and nobody reads it, there's something I can do with that. That can go to the Friends, it can go to a sale situation, there's options for what you can do with a book. But if it's just gonna disappear, then you can't take risks on them because they're too expensive. So it's a little disappointing. It would be nice if it looks like what they're trying to do is get some experts involved so that they can put together a bill that will have teeth and will pass. So I guess that's all I know about that.
Can I ask you a quick question? Because I do think this seems to come up because a lot of people that, when they know you're a trustee, they don't really know what to do, and then they'll ask about like the 2 or 3 things that they think you are plugged into. Something that comes up, of course, is the subject of like book bans, which Wakefield, I don't think, has had to deal with much. Have you had any assertion or pressure at all, any?
Nothing,
Good.
nothing.
That was my assumption. I just wanna make sure like you're
Yeah,
defended,
we're-
protected, et cetera,
We're
right?
really,
Like,
this is just a great town.
yes,
In the years that I've been here, there was a program at the Galvin once, and a parent asked a question about one of the titles that had been chosen.
mhm,
And the librarian answered it, and the parent was satisfied. So,
Good.
you know, I had someone come, they were concerned about something that was a DVD, and it was years ago. And when we said, you know, someone requested this, and it's gone out 15 times,
mhm.
you know, yeah, I don't wanna check it out, you don't wanna check it out, but people wanted to check it out, and that's why they bought it, because it just belongs to everybody. So, it's a very broad community,
It's very very level-headed, like it's very balanced, that's probably my observation.
Yeah, it's
Where it's like,
balanced.
it doesn't actually end up swaying one way or another too strongly, it just
right,
tends to, yeah. So I just wanted to make sure, it's a hot topic these days, so.
yeah, I know, it has been, and I feel lucky that we're in the position that we're in. And, the town leadership is very supportive of intellectual freedom.
Good, okay,
Yeah.
thank you.
You know, encourage folks to call folks on Beacon Hill about those items. Okay, personnel other than the new business. Do you have anything to discuss? No new hires.
I don't think Jackie would know, because she's the one who's always, no,
Having fun with
and
that?
don't jinx it.
Just asking.
We'll just leave it right there.
Yeah.
Okay, very good. Did I miss anything on committee reports?
I don't think so.
All right, one item of new business, we have the evaluation status, that would be the evaluation of the director, is that correct?
Yes.
So, personnel subcommittee, we have an update.
So we have 8 out of 9. Did you get the, I just sent presented, okay.
Who's the 9?
It was Adam.
I know.
It was Adam.
I saw him flinching, yeah.
I mean, I was a couple of emails before then, because it was supposed to be back by the 7th, and I did send you one on Valentine's Day, and that's what I said, he doesn't like me, he's not reading the mails on Valentine's Day, I don't know what this is gonna say. So let me ask you, did you get the form that she sent it, that you can do it there, okay? Everybody did. So we're all set with that, the subcommittee has to set a date, and we're gonna do that, afterwards, look at some dates for our subcommittee to meet, and, also dates that we can meet with Catherine and present to the board on the March meeting.
All right, very good.
And so your subcommittee meeting has to be posted. So-
Correct.
So just give enough time to Stephanie to get it.
Correct, that's why we're gonna look at dates right now.
Yeah.
And then we're gonna text Amy for whatever country she's in and see if she, what those dates, those are available.
Sure, yeah.
Yes, we will hopefully be able to get it done this week.
Very good, thank you.
Welcome.
So that's it for new business. Items not reasonably anticipated by the chair. Do we have any other walk-on items, any requests for next meeting?
No, I wanna call out Adam's contribution to the Aspire Cafe, it's a big success, I wanna publicly recognize, like, how much work he and the, organization put into launching that. I've only stepped in and said hello. I haven't had the coffee or food yet, but I hope to soon. But it looks wonderful, and the buzz is huge, and I feel like a ton of work went into it. So I just want to publicly call out and recognize Adam's and the organization's contribution. Yeah.
Why aren't you buying coffee?
I don't know. I'm cheap. I drink coffee at home.
Make sure that's in the minutes.
Scott Stady is cheap.
There is unbelievable buzz about it.
It
It's
looks,
a feel good.
it's
Yeah.
so good, and the downtown thrives because of it, so, thank you.
Yeah, I stopped in opening day, not right when it opened, wanted to give everyone a chance to settle down, but, yeah, it was great, and the space looks terrific.
Yes.
The coffee's good, I had the coffee.
Thank you for pointing that out, Jess. That's
So
awesome.
noted.
Why don't you meet me outside after?
But yeah, great job, congratulations.
That's all I got.
Anything else?
I don't know if this is the calm before the storm, but there's not a lot going on right now, so,
Oh my goodness.
everything's
Are you-
been,
Short meeting.
Because it's not this budget year, but it's the budget year after that. When the state, if the federal tap gets shut off, which seems like it will be, the state budget is gonna get hit next year. So we're good for one more year. But it's the state's gonna start running out of money. So that's why, I know we talked about, we have the year without book sale and blossoms, but I think it's gonna, which I think is gonna be okay this year. Probably the year after that is when you're gonna need, I don't think the state aid numbers are gonna keep going up.
no, probably not. So that's one of the reasons why every year when Kevin Hill says, don't hold the state aid back, you shouldn't be holding the state aid back. It's good to hold the state aid back because that gives you an extra year to, kind of weather whatever that might be, so. Yeah, that's something that we're gonna have to consider. How do we dig in and make sure everything's covered? Depending on what happens, how we can be prepared for that.
I know soon we're supposed to talk about this, we should also talk about some version of PR around blossoms not happening. Just because I don't think anyone knows.
Yeah, we were talking about it today, Megan asked me about it today. No one has asked, but they anticipate that someone will.
Right.
So I said initially the staff, because she wants the staff to all say the same thing, and they should just say that it's not happening this year. But I think that it's worth saying that the committee disbanded, that maybe we can come up with a statement that that publicizes it in a way to go back and say this was something that for 18 years or whatever it was, was managed by this committee and had these benefits, and the committee's moving on to other challenges.
Sure, if you want me to take a swipe at it, I can, and then we can,
Hey, that's wonderful.
I can try, and I give you a rough draft, and then we can,
Yeah.
You all can.
Just send it to everyone and see
Totally, yeah.
how we wanna do that.
It was this week, last year is when we usually make the announcement, because it came up on my.
Okay, great.
It came up on my memories, the
Really?
announcement of the date and everything,
It
was
was the end of February.
mid to end of February.
Is there any opportunity? Because if we're gonna, the ideal would be to have a way to say, Blossoms isn't happening, but if you'd like to support the library, do X. Like, is it buy books at the sale, or is it really, other than just the straight up, is there any sort of thing that we can kind of point people towards?
To become a friend.
Oh, it doesn't matter, I don't know what it would be, if you're gonna, it's better to, when you make that announcement, say, if you'd like to support the library.
Well, I mean, from
Yeah.
my point of view, it's not really the library, it's Blossoms, that entity that, floats out there. So it's difficult it was a combination fundraiser for two different groups. And is it gonna be a library announcement, that's one thing, or if it should be a Blossoms announcement. I feel like it should be a Blossoms announcement because
That's what
it's
we
had
said
many
at the
committees
last
over the
committee.
year.
Yeah, but I would argue, I mean, maybe I only know my perspective of it, I would argue that for a lot of people, this was their thing that they did to support the library, like, you know, you went to Boston, so you bought the tickets and good on the items and stuff. And it was the one time of the year where you said, oh, I'm gonna go support the library.
Well, I actually, from this group's perspective probably, but after doing it like, I don't know, 15 years, I would say the main thing was that this was a tradition town event. And that there were many reasons for it, some people didn't even really consider it a fundraiser. I think the reason it was probably successful, it was more like an event.
Yeah.
That was not connected to anyone. Of course, the library got the main purpose, and personally, that's why I always like doing it, and I think Chris, who has been involved with it longer than I had, would agree with that, that's what we did, even though you are chamber too. I'm sorry.
It became a community event, and as someone who was sitting at the table when we thought of it, it was a fundraiser for two organizations that needed help at the time. And we opted into the fact that the host was the library, and they would get a larger share of what we did. But the whole point of Blossoms was it was neither. It was its own entity. It was a committee of volunteers that had, you know, roots in multiple places, but it wasn't a library event, albeit it was here, and that's why the library got the larger portion. But what it's worth, that's why people came. And that's why people stayed, and that's why people sponsored for the most part. But it remained a separate entity, albeit, you know,
And
groups from both sides took claims at it.
yeah,
I think-
anecdotally, I think too, that people didn't see it as a fundraiser. When we did a survey, we got a lot of complaints that it was too expensive.
Yeah,
I always like to
I'm like I agree, I think Blossoms is like, it's more of a town event. It's more of an opportunity to like get out, get dressed up, have fun, without even recognizing what they're doing. That said, if it goes away, why not have a CTA attached to a follow-up note that's like, you can still support the library if you want to. Like, I think there's like, but I agree, I think
maybe that's not the right way, but I think it will make the announcement feel better. If we just say it's canceled, don't ask questions.
no, that's why and I
give me a
know
little credit for that.
it's been a long month, so I have not thought about this, but it is a sensitive issue. One, because for a long time we had town events. We had the stroll, we had the Italian festival, we had the Irish festival.
Totally, yeah.
And this was kind of the only one left.
Yep.
So I think that's, and just like probably growing into this too, people liked those events and they don't really comprehend where it comes from or where it goes, but it's like, you know, where's Santa in the street? That's what we care about. And so like it's like any kind of advertising, like, you know what I mean? I'm going for this.
Yeah, usually.
Many people go for understanding where the money's going or the goodness of it. But I'd say in most years recently, it's the party, it's the event, it's a tradition. It did become a tradition, as did those other things. So a lot of people, and recently, a lot of people I've seen on the community pages being upset that all those things are gone. Well, all the other towns have this, that, and the other thing. So this is going to maybe, you know, upset people.
No,
They're
those people
probably
don't
gonna-
then volunteer to help run.
Well, it's like,
No.
I think it's,
Same time people who run.
Brian Fox has been pretty vocal about like,
Right,
you know, if you want a 4th of July parade, like someone has to like carry the baton, like people need to, you know, like that's been his narrative, it's like, well, we need help, people need to volunteer and do this stuff, otherwise these things do.
Yeah.
Ultimately, like they go away because we need people to step up
so there's
and like help, yeah.
grand misconceptions about who does what and where it goes. You know, is it, you know, like, who gets like blamed for it if you don't like it is always gonna be the town.
Mhm.
And it's really not the town, but it is something that's, you know, I just think it's a fine line. And if we were going to send something out as blossoms, you would have to say, and you wanted something about support, you would have to say to, you know, please continue to support either organization, because that's what it always was. And then if library sent out something different specifically after that fact about how you could, you know, continue, you know, chamber would have an equal opportunity to do that, but I wouldn't feel comfortable I never felt comfortable about it being identified with just one group. And it, you know, obviously it became more and more difficult to work that group out, but it started with the chamber. And the library director was on the chamber, so, and I was just a child then.
I'm kind of inclined to think of it in terms as like an announcement, but also a thank you.
Yeah.
And so if you're saying thank you for, you know, these years of volunteer work and fundraising, and maybe we say what came of it, you know, that over so many years, this is what, now we have a strong chamber and we have a strong library, and in part it was because of the volunteers and the support of the people who came.
Sure.
And then it gets followed up with something, you know, in some time period, that's another event that maybe the friends are sponsoring, that then you can kind of tie it in.
Because if you can say, you know, that they won't, you know, everything you said, like what a success it's been for 15 years.
Correct.
And we're gonna use the time now to reimagine what a new event could look like. And it just be really big. I know
It's a group that did this.
there's
thing
going
in
to be the
library and then,
people
yeah.
who are just like, oh, another one bites the dust, and how could you cancel this thing? And I don't understand.
So lots of people are gonna get questioned about it, but just for someone who's been involved for a long time, I want it to be, you know, gently going into the night type of thing. If you know what I mean. I don't know if that's a letter from the committee, you know, the Blossoms Committee, and then let chamber do their own, because I think it would be almost impossible to try to get the one letter put out as different. Do you think we could send a joint letter?
The chamber's kind of moving on, so it would have to be like from the committee itself probably.
Well, that's what I mean.
Well, that's what it always was.
That's what I'm saying.
Yeah.
So I don't know, maybe people could help. I would like it to come from the committee. And I don't quite know how to do that. Anyone who wants to participate in trying to put that together, I think
Yes,
that's.
I can-
so
Sure we
I
can.
can draft,
yeah,
I can draft
so
a
I can
couple of
start
versions,
something and
so,
then you can kind
you
of play
can-
with it and see what will.
yeah, I got a couple of different ways to, you know, approach it, you know, PR perspective, but like I'll give it a first swing.
Yeah.
And then make sure it resonates and feels like it's saying what you wanna say, and, you know.
Yeah.
But I'm happy to run point on drafting.
And then I think, you know, I mean, any of us who want to be involved in a future one for the library, you know, hopefully we will be able to do that as well.
Yeah, we know that people
From our vast
like
knowledge of having breakdowns.
and if we can get the friends on board, really, it would be great, because that's how I see other libraries doing it.
Well, and it would be good visibility momentum for them, if they want to do something like that, it'd be.
I don't think they're gonna even have a conversation until tomorrow. Like,
I know,
we've all
and
had the
well,
mask for the
we
book sale,
haven't
but
been
they're
able-
still like,
we haven't been able to have the conversation at all, because it's mostly about how can we have the exact same book sale we had for all those years in the exact same way.
Well, that's why I asked that question, because I was like, I thought this was given up.
I don't, that they will not give up the ghost until it's truly gone. Like
And it's just what you say though, it's a town,
It is,
you know,
it's a tradition.
it's a
It
tradition,
is a town,
and so
yeah, it is.
they don't wanna
It
give
is.
up, the tradition, and
Yeah,
you know,
Yeah.
I'm working, and I'm thinking in your case, it's probably very similar. You're working with things that maybe are traditional, but are also changing. So when you're working with families, the families from 1980 are not the same as the families now. So you kind of have to sort of morph. So you're doing the same thing, but just a little differently, because you have to change with what's changed around you.
I think that speaks to how you're positioning this potential communication from Blossoms. So it's like I appreciated how we kind of discussed it in this meeting, in previous meetings about this is how it came to be, and this has been had this really nice, successful, but things have changed, and it's not a good thing or bad thing that it's ending, right? And
It's just a little different, and we're gonna explore what comes next. And I think that's a good idea, to leave the door open that something else is gonna happen. It's not, we realized this was fun.
Yeah.
So something else is gonna happen, we just don't know what that is yet.
I think one thing you're speaking to though, Susan, there's not like another community thing that you can point to it. We know this isn't happening this year, but we look forward to seeing folks at this other, there's not really any place to direct them.
Right.
But it's okay, sometimes too, sometimes less is more with some of these things. You don't wanna over-explain it, like you just say
Exactly, that's what I'm saying.
Yeah.
But it will be interesting, because I think there will be a lot of pushback, because even though the stroll and the town festival went on for a while, people are like, well, how come? It's like delayed reaction. And this is just gonna bring it up again, and if the book sale stops, that's gonna, it is true, we don't have, except for the 4th of July parade, which is in
Which
jeopardy.
was segmented as well,
I know,
between the west side and the actual parade.
right, and which
Two
is,
different organizations spun out of that.
which will probably look very different now, but I don't know.
There's spins, I mean, like, not the same thing, but it looks like the farmer's market keeps growing and getting better, and like, that's not to say, but it's like, that's a community space, that's an area, there are things happening where it would it would counteract the narrative that like, we're not doing, events are different, of course. Events are events, and people get, of course, like, fixated is the wrong word, but like, they want to know that there's like this thing happening, this day, and they're good, and they happen every year, but there's all this other good stuff happening around, so I think there's a balancing act we can probably.
Well, don't get me wrong,
Like,
people also have complained about every one of those events, including Blossoms on it. So don't get me wrong,
Definitely, of course
there
they
is
have,
no
of course they have.
100%
No, of
agreement.
course, 100%, yeah, of
But
course they have,
There,
of course they have.
there were
But
a
they
lot
want
of
it
them,
anyway, yeah.
there were a lot of them, and like, this isn't my thing, but this is.
Yeah.
And even if they didn't go, people were proud of those.
Sure.
People were proud when they saw the pictures. Isn't that great that Wakefield does that?
Oh, yeah.
They may
Yeah, I
never
get it.
attend,
Yeah.
but isn't that great?
Yeah.
So,
I get it.
we're a small town. That's gonna be under new management, so who knows? Maybe some of those things will come back. Maybe not. So, thank you, yes, we will do that.
Yeah, like I said, I'll take a swipe and I'll share and
So that's what to do.
take it from there, that's do some writing.
Everybody's just gonna watch the trustees meeting, so we won't even have to do it now.
Yeah,
It's just
that's
the-
true.
The numbers on WCD
We
are
have-
so good.
We have a big tradition as
Yeah.
well.
Yeah.
Oh, that's
This
true,
is
yeah,
Wednesday-
so you
Wednesday.
all know what's happening now, so,
It's-
We've
yeah.
announced officially.
So, job done.
And now everyone knows you didn't try the coffee. You better get it done ASAP.
Can we edit that?
No, open meeting.
Okay, anything else?
Gonna bring a record here.
Not quite.
No, we won't, no, it's almost 80, so we won't break a record, but.
If there's nothing else, I will entertain a motion to adjourn.
Second. So, you can't make one, so I'll make a motion.
Chris and Adam, some combination. All right. So let's take a vote. Susan,
Yes.
Laura,
Yes.
Chris, yes, Scott,
Yes, sir.
Adam,
Yes.
Dan,
Yes.
Jackie?
Yep.
And I'm a yes. We are adjourned at 7:56 PM.
Nice.
Excellent.
Excellent, thank you.